We are back. Thank you so very much for choosing to stay with us. It feels absolutely great to be in your company. And in case you're just joining us right now, welcome to our coffee lounge, where our focus is understanding more about the coffee export and importing sector. And to shed more light on that, we have the pleasure of being joined by Susan McKenna, an agent, a coffee agent, exporter and importer. Karibu sana Kenya's Gold. You look absolutely gorgeous, by the way. I had to say that. So now, just jumping straight into the conversation. When someone hears you're a coffee agent who does exporting and importing, please expound to us how that works. Do you work with individual farmers? Do you work with cooperatives? Is it your own coffee that you're importing and exporting? Talk to us about that.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here today. I, Susan, being an agent, agent means that you are working on behalf of either a group of people, corporate or an individual.
Right.
So that's where I come in. I do export, I do import, especially now for those people who if you want to import coffee from Kenya to any part of the world, I'll do it. And there are others who want to export to export from here to wherever. Still, I do it. And being an agent, there are quite a number of things. There are quite a number of requirements which you need to have. And dealing with the exporters and importers, you can't just wake up one day and you say that I want to import coffee from either Burundi, Uganda, or wherever. There are quite a number of documents which are needed. Still, you can't wake up one day and say that I want to become an exporter. There are documents. There are rules and regulations which need to be followed. And number one, you need to have a company, a registered company. That is number one, which will guarantee you to become an exporter or importer. Number two, you need to have a license from coffee board. Yeah. Without that license, you can't be able to deal in either being an exporter, importer. You can't own a warehouse.
All right.
Actually, there's nothing you can do much about coffee because there's even growers license. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Na hapo vile Susan umezungumzia swala la kuwepo na documents. Huyo mtu ambaye anakuona na anataka kujua sana ukisema stakabadhi. Ni zipi hizo ambazo mtu anahitaji kabisa ukifafanua kwa undani?
Okay, well, number one, you need companies. You need to have a company. Number two, you need to have a license from the coffee board. That's HAFA. It's buyer's license. That is actually, it's mandatory. You can't do either export or import without that. There's still commercial invoice. You need to register yourself. You need to get an account with KFIS. That's Kenya Plant Inspection Services. You need to have an account because your coffee has to be done. It has to be inspected. There's no way it can be sent out without inspection to show that whatever you're exporting or you're importing, it's good for consumption. Number three, we have commercial invoice. Commercial invoice shows the value of what are you importing. What is the value of the number of bags? What is the value? How much is it? Number two, there's a packing list. You need a packing list to show I am either importing 220 bags, 320 bags, or whatever quantity it is. That is still very important. Then still, your company you have to have an account. It is still Ken-trained. Ken-trained is connected to AFA, whereby you are issuing a certificate which is called ICO, International Coffee Organization. This is to show that when the coffee goes on the other side, it will pass.
Right.
Without that ICO, it's like certificates of conformity. When you're importing out goods here in Kenya, you need that certificate to show that the goods you're importing and you're exporting, that passed the test. Yeah.
So for someone who's watching you right now and they want to use your services, considering you're connecting these farmers to buyers and you're also importing, how are they able to tell between a credible agent and someone who's just in the business as a con artist?
Okay, yeah. Sometimes it's quite tricky. It's a bit difficult. In most cases, I may say the most of the clients I've gotten it's through referral. I used to work with a clearing and funding company before I left. And having worked there for 17 years, you know, that was quite a long time. I was able to interact with most of the importers and exporters, not necessarily coffee. I've dealt with other things. And from there, I think you create and go. There's like a personal relationship you need to create with your client.
Okay.
Yeah.
And should I meet you today for the very first time and you tell me you're a coffee agent and I ask you for your certificates as someone who wants to use your services, is that something you can show me?
Yeah.
Will you be comfortable enough to show me?
Sure, I will. Yeah, sure, I will. Yes.
Okay.
Sawa sawa.
Yeah.
Kuna wakati ambapo umetaja kuhusiana na ICO ni shirika la kimataifa hilo, sio?
Yeah.
Sasa mtu ambaye yupo katika taifa la Kenya atakutanaje na maafisa wa ICO?
Okay, that certificate is issued at Coffee Bond. Yes, there's a connection.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where the certificate is issued.
So kabla mtu apate nafasi ya kufikia certificate lazima kwende kwa Coffee Board.
Yes, but now that is the last stage whereby you've already imported, you've done all these other stages. You see, number one, you have to start with the cafes.
Okay.
Whereby your coffee has been inspected. Where have you kept your coffee? That coffee has to be inspected because not all warehouses are legible to store the coffee. You know, coffee is very sensitive. You can't just store it anywhere. Yeah.
All right, now, when we're speaking about your role in the coffee space, we'd like to find out, as a coffee agent, do you go an extra mile to create a relationship with the coffee farmers? Because most of the time, sometimes they feel like the journey for coffee farmers just ends at the factory. Na mtu mwingine ambaye hata akuzi kahawa yenyewe is out there selling it on their behalf, determining the prices. What do you do to make sure that there's that harmonious relationship between the market, the exporters, importers, and the actual growers who are the farmers?
Okay, well, what I normally do, I've told you most of the time you get referrals.
All right.
If you worked for one person and you've done your work very efficiently, in most cases, someone else is going to refer you to someone else. But still, being a marketer, because I'm a marketer, I'll go out there. I have to interact with clients, those people, then dealers. There are those guys who are dealing in coffees. Still, I can go to the farm. But if I've come to realize and to learn that most of the farmers, they are not even importers or exporters. They want just, once they harvest their coffee, they take it to the society. And that is all. They don't want anything else beyond knowing where the coffee will be sold, if it will be sold, if it will not be sold. I think they're comfortable
Do you think
with the society.
they're comfortable or they just lack the awareness to know more?
I believe it is awareness.
All right.
Because there are those guys who have already learned. You know, before, there's a time people never knew so much about coffee. And coffee, okay, so people never knew so much about coffee. They only knew that the moment you harvest your coffee, you take it to the society. And you leave everything to the society. But now there's some knowledge. People have learned. I can do coffee even without dealing with the society. I can do it. I can harvest my coffee, do everything at home, and even sell it either locally or even I export.
Wakati unazungumza vile umetaja swala la kuhifadhi au storage. Hapo umesema ni sensitive sana. Makosa yapi ambayo yanajitokeza wakati wa kufanya uhifadhi wa kahawa?
Okay, contamination. Because, you know, when you sell the coffee, especially the green coffee, before you look for a marketer, for market out there, you need to send a sample. You can't just, it's not something you sell without even sending a sample. This sample has to be tested, has to be, there are those guys who taste. Once you lost, it has to be tasted. They need to taste, and they'll be able to tell. This is the taste, the kind of taste, their acidity is different. Now they'll be able to tell. is this what you want, or is this not what you want? So it is a bit tricky. When dealing with coffee, coffee is not just coffee. Many people, when you look at it, you may think it's coffee, but coffee is not just coffee. There's more to it.
All right.
And it has different tastes. Okay. Yes.
All right, so we are taking a short break right now, but just very quickly, we have a display here, and I'd want for you to tell us these are different grades. Maybe what we have here on the very first, this is grade.
Now, this is AA, we have AA, we have PIMB, and we have TT.
All right, so we have AA,
PIMB,
grade AA.
Yeah.
Right here, this is grade AA, which is the premium grade.
Yes.
And then we have grade AB.
No, it's PIMB.
This is PB.
Yes.
All right, so AA, PB.
And TT.
And then this is? T. All right, so when we come back, I know to a normal viewer, you can be a bit confused, wondering, please tell me more about what is the difference between AA, AB. We do have an expert here who will be shedding more light on that. And also we'd like to find out, how do you make sure you maintain a relationship with the new markets that you get to explore? That and a lot more will be forming part of our conversation when we come back from this short commercial break. See you shortly.